Hey, Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel, brought to you by Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast available every Friday wherever you get your podcasts. All right, I just got Dusty Zarana and the Crimson Guard delivered by Hasbro Pulse, who for once beat everybody else to the punch, shockingly. So go Pulse. And well, not for once. Recently, there have been a few things that Pulse has gotten to me first, but I am opening Dusty first because he has been the subject of some controversy. There are folks who are not pleased with how Dusty turned out, or are at least underwhelmed by Dusty. And I loved the original Dusty figure when I was a kid. He was one of my favorites, partly for this soft goods part of his helmet here that is just such a cool and different thing for G.I. Joe, but also just because I thought he was a cool looking trooper. I don't know, something about this look I just dug at the time. The desert camo was very different from anything else that we had seen, plus all of his patches and everything. I don't know, he just struck me as a very cool figure. I like Dusty. So there's the original. We'll do a little comparison in a minute, but let's get this guy open and see if he is good or not. Just looking at him in the package, I dig him. You'll notice the artwork here is pretty cool, a little more severe than a lot of what we see from the Classified series, but I think it works, and it has a dusty, if you will, look to it. Very dry art with a sense of desolation to it. I dig it. On the side, we've got his specialties. Dusty enjoys collecting badges, collecting bullets. He's a great conversationalist, and he collects cacti. Of course, you can find his actual specialties at gijoe.com. Back of the box, we've got the second piece of artwork that honestly seems almost quaint at this point. I think we can do better with the back of the box art. I think it's time to update the style. Get one of these artists to do something a little better than these digital images. All right, let's open him up. Oh, and this is, I believe, the last window box wave. I could be wrong, but I don't think that I am. Unless some of the Target exclusives are coming in a window box, which is possible. All right. I mean, he looks like Dusty to me. I'm not going to try and say this is the most excited I've ever been for a Classified series figure. But just right off the bat, the only thing that's jumping out at me is his knee pads. Lots of goggles with this guy. I would almost prefer it. Let's get all these accessories out of the way, which, by the way, he's got a pretty decent accessory count going on. I would almost have preferred these just be brown, because so the elbows are the same way. We have had some Classified series figures that actually did have differently colored knee pads, and I think that look would be better than if they had gone with this color that's similar to what's around it, because now it looks like... See, I think these are intentionally a different shade from the surrounding khaki, but it looks like they just used the wrong plastic. It doesn't look like a design choice. It looks like an error. I really think these would look better if they were just straight up brown. Of course, then you would have the problem of the backs also being brown, so that's not a great option either. Well, it wouldn't be that bad here because this would be on the back of the leg, but it would be a problem here where you'd end up with this brown plastic here. But I got to tell you, for those of you that will customize or add paint to your figures, I think a little brown paint would make this figure look better. So I dig the camo. I think they've done a pretty nice job with the camo. I honestly do kind of wish it was a little darker brown as to contrast a little bit more, because if you look at the original figure, it's just a little darker. Not a huge amount, but a little darker. I do like the brown boots rather than black. It just makes more sense to me. Although it would be kind of cool if they're going to change the color of the boots. It would have been kind of cool to do brown with like a tan canvas, maybe that style of boot. But these look good. I mean, I haven't looked at the boots up close in a while, but they are laced boots, which is great. All of that detail is just amazing on these. The footwear of G.I. Joe Classified has been mostly fantastic. He's got to sort of represent his untucked military blouse. He's got this waist piece here that looks fine. The color does not quite match. As a matter of fact, what that matches, it's closer to the knee pads than it is to the surrounding fabric. They didn't quite... I guess this is the biggest problem with this figure, is that they just didn't quite... It looks like it has a bunch of errors because of this plastic not matching this plastic, not matching this plastic. Very odd. Is khaki really that difficult a color to nail down? Maybe it is. Articulation-wise, you've got your standard Classified Series articulation, double-jointed where all the double joints need to be, the drop-down hips. I'm moving that hip a little more carefully after what happened with that Python Patrol. I think it was the Bat, where I was like, whoa, I just stressed that one. But this peg seems to be moving and working just fine. I've got that. Oh, look, this is actually two. I didn't realize this. This is actually two. It's not two pieces. It's one piece, but there is space between the top belt and the bottom belt, whatever the situation is here. Very interesting. So is that... The original figure doesn't have whatever that is. The original figure does have these shoulder straps going on. He's got some cool detail. He's got his camel pack or camel back. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't know which it is. Camel pack, right? Though that's pretty cool. The water dispenser tube right there. And then he actually has Tater, which of course is Rudat backwards, named after Ron Rudat, the guy who designed many G.I. Joe figures way back in the day. The flag, lots of great detail here. He's got the camo. It would have been nice, because you can see the camo is on his torso. That was an early complaint, is people thought that the torso was unpainted. It is not. But I think if they could have gotten like one splotch in this area, it would look a little better. But there's none on the crotch piece, which I think they get away with that, though, because between this hanging down... there is none on the bottom of the blouse, which... Yeah, the original figure, you can see there's a little bit of brown right here. There's brown on the back. Now, granted, it matches up to the pants, or the trousers, but whatever. The original figure did a little better job with that piece than this one did, because this is completely uncamo. The back doesn't have any hits. I don't know. I'm not mad at this, but it certainly could be better. Portrait-wise, he's got a really great, unique portrait. His lips probably don't need quite as much color as they have, but if you look, they are kind of chapped and dry looking. I don't know how close it's going to let me get. Yeah. He's got a lean, out in the elements countenance. I like this portrait quite a bit. The hair looks good. It's not perfectly combed. It's a little messed up. The paint on his face, again, maybe get a little more on the front of his face, kind of like with his blouse, get a little in the front to go back to that original figure. Look at that. He's got it on his nose, over his eye. Like, why are you afraid of doing a little better job with that? So yeah, that could have certainly been better. But otherwise, I don't know. Really, the color is the only problem with this guy. I like the design quite a bit. I think everything looks good as far as that goes. Let's see. What else have we got? Oh, man. I just reviewed Santa, and I've mixed Dusty's accessories up with Santa's accessories. So, whoops. This, to be clear, that is not Dusty's bag. All right. He's got a backpack that is similar to, well, it has some of the features of his original. It's got a couple of canteens on it. Looks good. And I will note that they went with a dark brown on this rather than making it the khaki, and I think that was the right call. Another thing that would have been the right call is if they had made this open so you could store the extra goggles in there. But looks good. Maybe could use a little paint, but it's fine. Oh, look at that! You can even see the hose for the camelback going into the harness, and it plugs in really nicely. The backpack connections have gotten much better since this line started. But you do have, for such a bland figure, my biggest complaint is that there are too many colors. Because his backpack is not the same color as his backpack straps, which I understand is not the craziest thing in the world, but I think it would just look better if that backpack was a darker brown. We've got too many browns going on here. And maybe they were trying to spice him up a little bit by doing that, but to me it's kind of breaking the figure up too much. He has got a little tiny knife. Looks good. I appreciate that it's got paint on the blade, so it's not just like an all black knife. That is going to go right into the sheath on his boot there, which is on the wrong side, but who cares? Maybe, it kind of makes sense if he is right-handed. It kind of makes sense to have it on the right side, doesn't it? All right, what else have we got? We have got his wacky, man, what a weird, and I've told you guys before, I am not a gun guy. So I don't know if this is I don't know if this is an actual thing, if it's based on a thing. I have no idea. But it looks cool. But again, why is the bipod a different color from the rifle? I don't agree with that decision. And maybe somebody in the comments will be like, no, this is based on this particular thing, and that's how that bipod looks. But again, it looks like an error to me. It looks like a, I don't know, it just doesn't look quite right. I've got the magazine that goes into the back here, which is just sort of different. It's fine. I assume it's back there to accommodate him having the grip up in the front. Looks cool. And I do appreciate that this is a distinctive gun here. It does look very cool. And it should, I haven't had any trouble as of yet. Oh, that's going to be interesting. How am I going to get, let's do trigger finger first. Bend that thumb back, and there we go. So it fits perfectly in that hand. And then thanks to those butterfly joints, we can kind of tighten that up, and he can hold the grip. And if I played with it a little bit more, I could get a really nice firing position, I think. So that's good. I like it. It's a nice sort of compact weapon. It's again, distinctive and not entirely dissimilar to his original kind of weird, whatever that is. All right. He's got goggles that he wears without his helmet. That will slide on there. No, just there we go. So you've got that look, which is weird, kind of. And that strap just wants to get twisted all up, doesn't it? There we go. That's better. So we've got that look going on. And from what I've heard, his helmet is kind of giant. That does not look great. Helmet is kind of giant. The people who said that were not kidding. And then, of course, you've got the original look, which is the larger helmet goggles. That's not right. They don't look big enough, do they? Well, they don't look big enough because the helmet is so big, I think. So if you want his original look, that's how that goes. And I don't know. That's okay. The helmet is a little big. I'm trying to figure out if his head is going all the way in there. It is. Yeah, his helmet just seems like it's a little big. And yet the flaps sit a little high because I feel like those, I don't know why this thing won't focus tonight. These should be sitting on his shoulders and they're just kind of suspended there. Yeah, they needed to go back to the drawing board on this helmet. They just didn't quite nail this. And it does not sit well either. This is interesting. This so far in the Classified series, all of the, like, there were some backpack issues, but for the most part, all of the pieces, like think about Zartan's hood and how well that fits on. It literally almost snaps into place. And this just doesn't want to sit correctly. And once it does, it's sitting too high for those shoulders. They messed up on this helmet. Not great. Not great. I might even consider putting him on the shelf like that. Maybe. I don't know. Somebody out there is going to need to start making some custom Dusty helmets. Or, as much as I hate to say, oh, I paid for this figure and now I want to pay for a redo, but they need another shot at Dusty. This is not, it certainly isn't my least favorite figure in the line, but I gotta say, I think this is, it's one of the most poorly executed figures of the line. And I don't hate it. I'm not going to put it back in the box and put it away. It's going on the shelf because it's not terrible, but it's a combination of misses on this guy. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. I've got lots more Joe reviews, lots more toy reviews coming up. We will just keep on going. And I will have a best of, or top 10 of 2022 coming before the end of the year. Thanks for watching, you guys. As always, yo, Joe!
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.